Hello everybody, I'm back for another video. Yes, another tag. I've been tagged by Didi to do the African Writers tag, which was originally created by Rashmika Likes Books. So I'm going to put both their channels. So without further ado, let's go to the first question. Try to greet us in at least one African language. Look up some greetings and give it a shot. English, German, and French don't count. We're trying to move a little beyond colonialism, even though those languages are widely spoken here. So I went the easy way, and I'll just say mbote. Mbote means good morning in almost every languages spoken on both sides of the Congo. And of course, I could look for something outside of my countries, and it will be Nangadef, which means, I think, good morning in Wolof, a language spoken in Senegal. So voila. Second question, look up a list of African countries. Which African country had you never heard of before? Well, I looked and I didn't find countries that I didn't know, and it's not because I'm a genius. It's just because I went to school in Africa. And when we were growing up, we were asked in school to learn the countries, all the countries of Africa by heart, plus the flags also. So yeah, apart from South Sudan and, you know, all the countries that were created recently because of the subdivisions of the country that were already existing. Apart from them, I already knew. And I've always doubted the fact that Mauritius was part of Africa or the Seychelles. I always have a problem remembering that the Seychelles are part of Africa. Actually, the islands, which I consider as the island, like Madagascar, Cabo Verde, Sao Tome and Principe, and all these, you know, all the countries which are part of Africa but are not, you know, kind of linked directly to Africa. Yes, I always have problem with those, but I knew them. Which African country do you want to read more about? A bunch of them. Sierra Leone, Angola, I've never read anything from Angola. Chad, never read anything. Tanzania, and Liberia, like I say Liberia already? No, Liberia. So yeah, there are many countries where I've never been, literally speaking, of course. So I'm looking forward to finding books from those countries, but very interesting books from those countries, and start reading from them. Which African country have you read most about? Nigeria, y'all. Nigeria. My Nigerians brothers and sisters are so talented, and I'm not gonna lie. You know, Nigerians are just like Jamaicans. When you tell them, you know, you're good, they look at you and say, oh, I know. They never say thank you or yeah or anything like that. Oh, we know. So to me, they're just like Nigerian and Jamaican to me are really the same. Don't blame me. Don't throw tomatoes at me. It's just my opinion. In a certain way, they have many things in common. So yeah, I love Nigerian literature just as much as I think I love Jamaican literature as well. Which is your favorite African not diasporic writer? I don't have favorite writers per se. I have my periods. I love books and I love storytellings more than I do a specific author. Of course, I will tell you Bushi Emeshota, or maybe she will be considered as diasporic since she was living in England till she passed. But yeah, I don't know. I read books more than I read writers, even if I know that there are writers that I have a tendency to go back to constantly, because I'm certain, I'm deep down inside of me certain that I will never somehow be 100% disappointed by what they have to offer. But they're not technically my favorite. They're just good storytellers, and I love being told stories by them. That's it. Which is your favorite African diasporic writers? I think I've answered that question indirectly. It depends on the mood I'm in a moment, or who I am reading. Right now, it could be Kai Miller, because I read 2 books by this author at the beginning of the year, and I love them. Or I could say Mackenzie Orsel as well is from Haiti, and I read like 4 of his books at the end of last year and at the beginning of this year. And I love his storytelling. He's a bit, he's, I love crazy people. I love Marlon James. I love Kai Miller. I love Mackenzie Orsel. If I tell you that I love a writer, he has to have a kind of craziness. Something gotta be wrong in their brains for them to be attractive, literally speaking, to me. So yeah, I don't have favorite. I said it already, but I love storytellings and I love story. I love being told stories. And if your way of telling story is appealing to me, then I'll be coming back, often to listen to you. Which is your least favorite African diasporic writer? Answer. What genre would you like to read but set in Africa? Mystery, thriller, etc. Not all African fiction needs to be a literary fiction or a political novel. Maybe you want to read Afrofuturism, African fantasy, or a romance novel set in Africa. The exoticization of Africa is quite something to think about. Well, last year was great in that sense that I read The Yearning by Mohalim Ashiho. I don't know how to classify that book. It's a realistic, Afrofuturistic, science fiction-y, real novel. I don't know. It's all the, she kind of played all those genres in just one novel, and it was very interesting, and it was set in Africa. And the other book that I read that I really, 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 really appreciated but didn't love, I appreciated the book, but I didn't love it. It was Nairobi Heat by Mukuma Wangungi, because I don't read that genre enough, like crimes and stuff like that. I don't read. But I tried it last year and it was quite interesting. The thing that I wasn't pleased with was the fact that the police officer, the American police officer, was acting as if he was in his country when he was in Kenya. Whereas when I watch African American series or African crime series or stuff like that, from one state to another, the police officer can be denied the right to use his gun. So why would he be allowed to use his gun while going to Kenya? I mean, there were certain things that bothered me a lot in that novel, but it was interesting, and yeah, I liked it. So I would try to read some more of that genre. Question number 9. Share a few books on your TBR by African writers. Seriously? I don't know which one to show you, but hey, I'm gonna try. So, this cover, Forbidden Fruit by, who wrote this book? Stanley Gazemba, Kenya. Secret by Nuruddin Farah, Somalia. I love him. I love his storytelling. Kola Kola Jazz, Kani Anyem, but I don't know if this one has been translated into English. Kani Alem is from Togo. Okay. Soweto Stories. It's a collection of short stories by Mama Mariam Tlali, the late Mama Mariam Tlali. Last year I read her novel Mariam at the Metropolitan. I thought I had taken it with me, and I loved it. She was the first published black woman in South Africa. Of course, when a book was published, it was banned, and voila. Which books? Let me show you some Ghanaian. This one I started last year, but I only read the first chapter, so I will go back to reading it maybe this year. Beyond the Horizon. During the Black Chat, I showed you the Housemaid by this author, and this is another one by Amadarko. Beyond the Horizon. We remain in Ghana with Yaba Badu and True Murder. And of course, this anthology of African literature edited by Mama Ama Ata Aido. You cannot talk about Ghanaian literature without talking about Mama Ama Ata Aido. In this one here, you have a bunch of female writers like Sefi Atta, Veronique Tadio, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and many others. So yeah, for somebody who is hesitating, who wants to know where to start, this could be a good starting point, because you have many different storytellers, and you can tell after reading them if you're interested by their style or not. And if you are, then you will buy, you know, a complete novel by all the women that you have in here. As I said, many of them. You even have Blessing Musariri, Cindy Magona, Mama Cindy Magona, Sarah Ladipo Manika, Yababadu, I showed you already, Leila Abulela, etc., etc. Ama Ata Aido, this one. It's The Dilemma of August and Anoa, Ama Ata Aido. Our Sister Killjoy, Ama Ata Aido. Changes, a love story. She always said that she would never write a love story, but this is one. I'm yet to read it, so I might just do a review when I'll be done reading this book. And I was talking about her. Let me show you some of the books that I have by this South African author, Mama Cindy Magona. So I have Forced to Grow, To My Children's Children, and Mother to Mother. And last year I read Beauty's Gift, which deals with the spreading of HIV also in the country. But above all, it tells the story of 5 good friends. Yeah, the best friends, how they grew up together, etc. Their lives. Which country will I take you to? This one is in French. La Danse de Pilar. The author is from Gabon, Charline Effa. Which one? Neighbors, The Story of a Murder by Lilia Monplay. She's from Mozambique. What else? Ooh, Richard Aliamutu. This one here, the one I'm showing you, is in Lingala, Kinshasa Makambu, but it has been translated into English, and the title in English is Mr. Fix-It. So write down his name, Richard Aliamutu, and go buy the book in English. I haven't read it in English. As I said, I read it in Lingala. Yeah, Decolonizing the Mind. So I'm reading in Lingala. This one is Jagwanana by Baba Cyprien and Quincy. I highly recommend this one. It's interesting. Even the, you know, the broken English, I don't know how they call it, the pidgin is interesting in this book. So yeah, I can go on and on and on and on, but the beautiful things that Evan bears. This is Ethiopia, I think. And oh, my darling boo, Binyavanga Winena. One day I will speak about this country. I'm yet to read this. I started it at a certain moment, but I wasn't ready. I wish somebody had warned me that when it begins, when the story starts, he speaks just like a child. So I was like, what is this? And then somebody I think somebody read this book and did a review. And I read the beginning of the review, and she said, okay, in the beginning, he tells his child, he talk about his childhood with a childish voice. And I'm like, okay, I'll go back to it. Yes, so I might just read it one of these days. Voila, I gotta stop. Or we'll be at it until tomorrow. And I still have many other videos to take, because I've been tagged by many other people, so I cannot show all the books now. Voila. So the next question, the last question is, tag some friends, spread the love in the spirit of Ubuntu. So in the spirit of Ubuntu, I'm going to write down the name of the people I want to do this tag. Voila. So thank you for spending your time with me, and till next time, remain blessed. Bye.